was a lot of calls to the point where people didn't want to hear me on the phone. Like Jackie would not even come in the garage, because it was literally, the calls were just cringy. That's what I teach when I teach cold calls. It's you're gonna suck. You're gonna suck at the beginning for a very long time until you find your rhythm, find how you're using these scripts. Because I would go line by line.
Sound kind of robotic.
Oh, super. Like they would ask me something completely different. I would just cut their question off and ask my next question.
Dude,
it was bad. It was bad.
Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
Welcome to another episode of Your Peak Life podcast. I'm here with the founders of Iron Valley Real Estate Hampton Roads.
Oof.
Pew, pew, pew.
That
Mike
makes
Little
me feel old, bro.
And Eric Edwards.
It's old.
Man.
It is old. And you don't look that old today.
I know. They shaved the
you
beard off.
shaved. I didn't think you were going to want to do this with the no beard.
Would you remove?
You don't look like an Eric Edwards.
You
anymore.
removed about 15 years.
I look like a baby now. Like I'm joining the Navy again.
Well, I mean, obviously, for those that have been watching these two guys, you know that this is the fastest growing brokerage out here in Hampton Roads. And, I mean, take us to the beginning. Actually, where did you guys meet?
In the Navy a long time ago.
Are we allowed to tell that story nowadays?
Oh, no. Not that piece. Maybe just like that we served together.
Yeah, we served together.
Yeah, twice.
Did you guys deploy together?
Not so we weren't at the same command, but it was he was squadron, I was ship's company.
Yeah, unknowingly. Like, I know we've seen each other on the ship.
8 or 10 or somewhere
smoke
in there.
Okay.
He would come to the smoke pit in his little foul weather coat because it was cold, and it would be like 95 degrees outside. So we'd be smoking and looking at him like, "The fuck you doing?"
Thankfully, since
you
then,
worked admin or
I
something?
quit smoking cigarettes. 3 years now. Well,
3
it'll be
years.
4 years on the first. Yeah. I quit smoking cigarettes.
Damn, so I met you right after you quit.
Yep.
I never saw you smoke a cigarette.
Facts.
Gotcha.
It's been a year now for me.
You're sober for you. All the cigarettes.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's.
in about 20 days. Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know how we spun it to that, but that's probably one of my biggest accomplishments in life. Quit smoking cigarettes is hard, man. So
Yeah, I see. I've actually seen you, or actually one of the first times.
I
you
quit like 3 times.
You're like, I'm gonna quit. Not even 8 hours later.
Like,
Fuck
yeah.
this.
yeah, but
So men
no,
in the
and
military.
then we served together at FSC Oceana for a couple years, and
That's where we actually
yeah. So in 2010, I was early 2011. We met at Oceana, but I was getting my license, and back then it was
That's
like
what I was gonna ask.
all I ever talked about was real estate, like to a
Okay.
point where everybody was like, "This dude's annoying," like, and I didn't care because we had Lieutenant Dang, who,
Lieutenant Dang. I still love that.
yeah,
dude.
Lieutenant Dang, but he was a prior enlisted 03, 20 plus years of service, but he had been investing his whole career, and we would just sit out there and get free game from him, just like. I was always one to like listen to the old heads, especially ones that were living like you wanted to live. Like you knew in the military when somebody was living above military pay, right?
Yep.
Like what are they doing with their money? How are they making those moves? And that's where Eric and I first kind of started talking about real estate. And then he had already owned a house and sold a house and was wanting to buy another house. So I helped him buy a house. And then we both went through divorces. He sold his house. I was out of my house and home for a little while. Then he got with Jackie and they bought a house and I helped him buy that house. And then he was like, "I'm not paying you no more, man. So I'm going to go get my license," which I was super cool with, like, great. And then,
But when you got your license, that was the motivation came from speaking to Lieutenant Dang.
no, my motivation was, I wouldn't find out until last summer that it really has been in my blood for 3 generations. But I mean, you could ask, you guys have met Tim that runs the Broker from the Bottom stuff with me. I mean, he knows that back in, man, before I even met Eric, back when I was like working construction jobs with Andy in Ocean View, I was like researching penny stocks or not penny stocks, but tax lien auctions. And
Okay.
I was just like always into real estate, and I was doing the construction side. So I wasn't a licensed contractor, but
You were
I could
working.
lay floors, I can hang cabinets, I can paint, I can do light fixtures, I could do all that stuff. Right. Even to a point of like, I was building custom manors at one point, like, and that's just real estate was always what I loved and enjoyed, but I understood that I couldn't do that manual labor for 30 or 40 years, right? Like
Hell,
it just made more sense to me when I saw back then, you know, a Carl Rogers or there was a lot of people killing it back then at the company I was at Wainwright. Like Wainwright actually produced so many brokers and owners and super investors and like mega teams. I mean, you could list your top 10, 15 people you know in the game, and they probably came from there originally, you know,
Gotcha.
because it was like the original 100% commission plan. And everybody there was investing or flipping or whatever the case is. So that's kind of how I came into real estate. I was contracting, and then it was like, well, I don't want to do this work for this money when I can do this work for potentially this income. But also, I had bought a house very young, and I wanted to do that for people. Like, to me, that was dope. Like, learn the neighborhoods, learn the schools, help people make an educated decision when they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Especially our veterans, because I was in the Navy, and it was just like a lack of VA home loan benefit education. So I just wanted to be in real estate. I knew that it was the catalyst to a better life, you know?
And then you saw the commission checks, and you decided.
Yeah, no, I mean that was part of it for sure.
But even that, before that, he had already owned a house, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I had owned, because my grandfather invested a ton. So, you know, when he retired, he sold 150 houses, 4 apartment complexes, sold them off when he retired. But the importance of home ownership was always there. You know, he always preached that. It was you need to own a home, you need to own land, you need to. That's how you become something else.
Right.
And then I mean the Navy. Me and my first wife would talk about real estate, and she's like, "No, just do your Navy job. Do your Navy job." Didn't think about it. She was holding me back the whole time. Now, granted, Mike sold me 3 fucking houses, and it's like 26 grand between 3 houses,
Right.
and I was like, man, I know.
and
I
that's my part-time job, right? Like,
so I knew I could do it.
but you were like a geek for real estate too, though. It wasn't like he was into the layouts and the architecture, and you know,
Yeah.
we enjoy homes. They, you know,
Yeah,
like,
when you enjoy it, it's just like it makes sense. And I just asked him, I was like, "Yo, where'd you go to school?"
it takes a month, bro. Get it done.
Yeah,
He's
that
like,
was-
what? That's it? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it.
The next month, we were writing contracts together.
But so your ship's company, your air wing, for those that don't understand, these are 2 completely separate commands in the military. Like, they don't go together
Well,
unless you're deploying.
the synergy came at FRC. We were
Okay.
both at FRC together. So the only like slightly less than 3 years of shore duty I did in my 14 years, I was stationed with him.
Okay.
So
And
we
that's
were
where-
we were in a concrete building really, and he was moving, and I had gotten my license, and I sold several people in the FRC
FRC.
homes. You know what I mean? But it was a fine line because it's like you can't represent khakis, you can't represent people that directly work for you.
Right.
And now some people would. Back then, I was pretty serious
Joe
about the
Navy.
Navy. Like,
Super Joe Navy.
I'm sailor to quarter, sailor to
I
year. Yeah, like I'm
the
like,
shiny boots.
Yeah.
shiny boots, fresh fade every Friday. Like
Yep,
I would crease the coveralls. That's just what I did, man. Show up to the meetings early for no reason, just because that's how you assert dominance and power.
Yeah, I didn't get my license though until after I met Jack. Jack was like,
Go do that.
me and
shit.
him had talked about it, and then Jackie was like, when we met, she was helping me pay child support. She was helping me like
Yeah.
put life back together.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, just go do it.
She was also like uber accomplished though, right?
Yeah, she was,
because
super accomplished already. She'd been going to college. She was,
air
air
crew, like
Right.
doing great. And I thought she was going to be 20 years for sure. And then I didn't realize she actually just goes all in on every job she has. Got my license, got up with Mike again. We went to Wainwright.
yeah. So
that lasted.
Well, I mean, go there with it. So that's the initially when he got his license, Breland Powell got his license, and they both were with me, and we had Little's home team at Wainwright Real Estate.
Right.
I then went through a divorce and was like, well, Little's home team has been dissolved, and we're going to merge with this team over here.
Yeah, so-
And that wasn't the best decision. So you could kind of fast forward 2 years later. Like, I mean, we learned some stuff, but we also had some hiccups where we went, and we decided to move on.
You weren't at Wainwright, right? That long?
No, I was there. Literally, it was funny. So I turned my paperwork in, and being fresh from we're
Right,
talking
just got licensed.
passed the exam, called him. Where do I go to fill out my paperwork? Went to Wainwright, filled out my paperwork. Still not knowing a thing about real estate, right?
Right.
Call the client up. Hey, I'm licensed. Let's go. They come to Wainwright's office, and Mr. Wainwright walks in. He's like, "What the fuck you doing?" And he's like, he looks at me through the glass. I'm in like a conference room. He's like, and I walk out. He's like, "What the fuck you doing?" He's like, "You can't do that." He's like, "You're not even licensed." I was like, "What do you mean? I passed my exam."
He's like, nah, we
like-
need it active, my
He's
guy.
like, "No, cut that meeting short." So went to Taco Bell, finished that conversation, came back, talked to him. He's like, "Yeah, bro, you can't just start selling real estate like that."
Right.
But I can
So-
come to the meeting with you.
So then I backpedaled and was like, okay, let me do this right, because the class teaches you
Stay
the
out of
laws.
jail.
Stay out of jail. Stay out of the courtroom, right?
Right. They don't teach you deep.
They don't teach you deep or they don't teach you how to do the
Rain,
job.
hurrah,
Right. So I did-
pipeline.
I'm thinking
chasing
just
leads.
like a driver's license. You get your license and then
You're good to
Absolutely.
go.
That's what I thought.
you sell. I could go sell a house. I could drive a car. I could go sell houses.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. Then we did join a team. Granted, that team we did learn a lot. Wasn't the right fit.
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I mean, like, even you think back to when it was just me, you, and Breland,
Right.
like, that would have been great had I not went through the personal issues, because I had the same stuff that we're currently doing now back then.
Right.
And then it got diluted when we moved. Like, you know.
Well, and then thinking about it, catch 2020, like thinking back on it in retrospect, right? If we would have just went through that pain together and just fought through it, I mean, we've done it since then.
Yeah.
We weren't mentally there.
Well, I wasn't really sure. Like, I was just starting a team. I was on a team, then I went solo, then I started a team.
Right.
Granted, this is early in your career.
Right.
You've been doing it, but you're just doing transactions.
For me at the
as a team.
time, how long had I been
4
in?
years? You were there already doing real estate 4 years?
I got my license in 11. We're talking about
15?
like 15,
Yep.
16,
15, 16?
16. I was on deployment in 15. It was 16.
16.
I remember
Yep.
because I renovated the
We
Ocean
were,
Lakes house.
we were both deployed on in 15.
Yeah, but I had just finished putting in that second living room in the Ocean Lakes house. Me, you, and Breland had a meeting, which was wild because Breland and I served on the TR together, and he got his license just on Mosley.com, and then came back and boom, we was like, oh, we got a team, let's get it.
So then, there's synergy now. You're going through your situation. You're obviously not licensed, but at some point you
He's
get
moving
moving.
into his new situation. So him and Jackie had just got married and bought
Yeah,
the
but
house.
real estate starts rolling for you.
Real
Oh,
estate,
bro.
real estate for me was
I never seen nobody start like
all
him.
gas. Well, I mean, and let's go back to it because,
It was
like I
all
mentioned,
gas.
Jackie was helping me pay child support. She's helping me pay bills. I had
Yep.
cars, houses.
You're finalizing a
I'm
divorce.
finalizing my divorce. So literally, I said, "What do I do?" She said, "Go get your license." Right. So I passed the exam. My credit card was literally almost maxed out, and I put, what was it, $1,200 at the time for rain fees,
The
license
class,
activation.
the license activation.
I swiped that
some
card.
business
I was like,
cards.
I
yep.
swiped the card, literally cut it up after that because it was maxed out, and I had no money to pay it back. So it was like, you want bad credit or do you want to pay your bills? Thankfully, Jackie's been like a huge rock. She was like, go make money.
Got it.
And it was me that was, because we didn't really have leads at the time either. Like they kind of, it was a weird spot because when we left, when he shut down the team, we merged somewhere else. It was a drawer of old leads. And I was like, look, I need to figure a way. So I cold called for years, but that first year it was just.
So this is not a CRM system. This is a drawer,
a
literally.
drawer of tickets, like little
Pieces of paper.
little tickets, right? I started cold calling, and I was like, Mike, man, I seen Mike always talk about real estate, and I'm like, well, I seen him have some success with it, so
That works. Yeah.
when I went to work, I was like the smoke pit king, man.
Yep.
Gee-dunk, smoke pit. You were getting asked if you needed a house. Yeah, that first year, man, I sold. It was like $9 million. That first year.
Yeah.
My first deal was.
And everybody else on the team is like, what is he doing?
Right.
Because, like, I was doing okay, but I had never done 8 or 9 million part time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the most I did was like 5 when I was full time active duty. So to me, I was like, he's doing something that we're not getting here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And there was no special. I was just putting the work in.
Well, but it was though, because nobody had ever even said to me really like, here's a seller lead system.
Right.
This is how you call FISBOs and expireds. Like
Right.
I
I mean,
learned
true.
I learned generating like from Craigslist accounts and
Craigslist fucking
freaking
ads.
like
When that was
Zillow
yeah.
bait post or foreclosure list bait posts and shit like that. Like even like if you just take the Rolodex back just a little bit more, right? Like, you know, Zillow wasn't as prominent yet. You didn't have all these referral networks. Like,
Right.
door knocking, open houses were a big deal when I started. Like, so that's what you did. You just went and talked about real estate, which really is all I do now for any of my businesses is go talk, right? Like now that I
that's
think
it.
about it, I train on Fridays. I've traveled to speak. I'm like, that's what I've been doing the whole time in the Navy, training other people, you know, managing other people. It's just the ability to, here's the job, job finished.
How many did you even keep count on how many calls you made that first year?
Oh man,
Thousands, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep count because I had way more bad calls than I had good ones.
So what I'm
Right.
getting at is you did.
He didn't
9
have a
million,
metric,
You
yeah.
made thousands of calls to sell 40
40 houses, maybe.
40 houses.
Right.
Right.
Because
For those
think it
watch as a
was-
new agent.
right.
it's like 42.
Well, it was a lower price.
Yeah,
Price
42
point
or
also
two.
then.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
It was a different price.
was
point. So maybe
42 or
50.
44.
150 to 250.
something like that.
But you know, it was a lot of calls to the point where people didn't want to hear me on the phone. Like Jackie would not even come in the garage, you know, because it was literally the calls were just cringy, you know. And now the calls of, you know, that's what I teach when I teach cold calls. It's you're gonna suck. You're gonna suck at the beginning for a very long time until you find your rhythm, find how you're using these scripts. Because I would go line by line.
Sound kind of robotic.
Oh, super! Like they would ask me something completely different. I would just cut their question off and ask my next question.
Dude,
you know, it was bad. It was bad.
There's two people that could tell you how bad I was. Andy and Carl used to sit in that room and laugh at me when I hung up the phone, bro. Like, I was horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't want to buy yourself? All right, cool, bye. Like,
Got it.
Like, I was
I'll
so
put it in the
bad. Like,
notes.
what do you mean you don't? You'd rather rent? That's dumb. Have a good day. Like, because think about like my personality.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
just very like.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wrap my head around like, why do I need to convince this motherfucker to invest? Like, I don't understand. Like, you'd rather pay rent? I don't know how to explain to you that that's not intelligent. Like,
Right.
without offending you, right? I couldn't, like you say sometimes, articulate like my message. Well, like
It's
how
so hard for me, but that also it just comes with that lack of education on my part. I can't
Well,
articulate a lot of things, but I know the thoughts are there.
I mean,
So
I've definitely
now
struggled with that same thing, man. Like, I'm not a dumb guy, but like,
sometimes you can't.
I can't
get it
convey
out.
it.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
convey what I'm trying to tell you.
and sometimes I just rather not say to not.
Miss.
miss-
Yeah, you don't want people
I
to
don't want to
misinterpret it.
that, or it creates an argument or a misunderstanding, which I didn't mean it that way. I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
something.
No, that makes sense. So sometimes silence is easier.
Yeah, come back to it. But all right, so you guys are rolling. Now you're on a team again together, right?
Yes.
This is Edward's
Well,
team
here's
now.
the deal. Eric goes and does nearly $9 million his first year, and then he says, "Hey, man, I'd like a 5% raise." I believe that was your request, 5%.
5% on each tier.
To
It was
the
like
te- to
we were
the
on a
team
tiered,
lead. Yeah.
tiered base.
Okay.
And the team lead denied him, and Eric was like, "Well, 85% of my deals have been from me." So
What
I
was
don't
the
think
split then, if-
I don't think 5%.
It started-
50-50,
it started
bro.
50-50.
60-40 after like 5 million or something.
was like
yeah,
tiered
crazy
each one.
work. And so to Eric, he was just like, you're just being super unreasonable. I'm grinding, I'm busting my ass for you. I'm putting your team name out there. I'm basically the team is on his back type shit. Like
Yeah.
he's done double anybody else on the squad.
Right.
And all he wants is 5% and he gets told no. So he's like, fine.
Damn.
He's like, fine, I know my
He
value.
fucked up.
And
You know,
he
but-
decides to leave.
You know, but you know, now looking back on it, like as a team lead, as you know, I've had multiple teams. You have to be stuck. You have to stick to your convictions, right? Like you can't give someone like if I were to give you a special deal, I have to give him a special deal.
Yep.
You know, so
Do
I've
for one, do
grown.
for all, right?
Yeah,
like
I've grown and I've understood that. Okay, it just wasn't the fit for me. Like you'll never hear me speak ill on most people. So it just wasn't the fit for me. I've grown since then. I learned a lot there. I learned the positives and the negatives.
yeah.
But then I joined, Chris Hamilton at the Hamiltons. Met him at a mutual lenders event.
And then
Struck
you're-
a good deal with him. I said, look, I want to start a team. This is what I want to do. He gave me a really good deal.
Then he recruited me for 2 years.
And then I literally recruited him like, bro, this is actually all right over here. You know, we get freedom. It's a very small boutique firm. You know, it was definitely different.
Splits are better for sure.
Yeah. So then he finally came over, and then he was actually in an office across from my team office.
Yeah, I was Dolo at the time.
So he was
But
in there, you know, micing it up.
Yeah, but I made a decision that like I was going to get out of the Navy. You know what I mean? So I started going in. I'm like, oh, I can get 5 contracts a month. Oh, I got 8 contracts. Oh, I got as many contracts as Eric's whole team, so I'm going to talk some shit. And then he's like, bet, hold my beer.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so they kind of started there. And then him and Bam and Popa,
Yep.
late nights down there. Because you got to think, I just went through a divorce. I'm getting out of the Navy. I'm enrolling in college. Like, I have my kids half the time, and that's all I was worried about was my kids. I had a girlfriend at the time, but she was out to sea, deployed, I believe. So all I was doing was going to school, selling real estate, and kicking it with my kids. Like that. That's it. And him, Popa, and Bam, late nights, man, 7:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Like that shitty blue building on Newtown Road at the corner of Princess Anne and Newtown where they just tore down that BP and put up the new gas station.
Yep.
They look like old blue condos. We were in there, man, and we did $30 million that first 8 months. Well, we did the $30 million the first 8 months after they talked shit to me every night until I joined the team.
Yeah. So,
But
I mean, yeah,
that was like, yo, Eric, like, I'll join the team, bro, but you know who and what I am, so we got to do this together. This is more of a co-team lead situation.
Right.
And I paid in every month. You know, I paid half the bills, and we kept the name because I'm humble enough to know that you had the brand, and it made sense already, so...
Well, and what was funny about it is, you know, because we sat down and had that conversation. Look, let's co-team, because obviously I'm good at one thing, he's good at something else, right?
Yeah.
And then we had people saying, "Oh man, those guys spend $30,000-$40,000 a month on Zillow."
But
you know,
we
this is what
didn't.
they're doing. We spent between the two of us $2,400 a month.
Facts.
That's it.
To run,
And I don't even know what it was for. To be like looking back on it, I don't know.
I can't
what's
remember,
Office
man.
space?
No,
Paper?
No, we tried some bold leads.
It
We
was bold
tried
leads.
some market leader. We tried, so you know, we tried like we
Yeah.
were dabbling.
Yeah, for those people that are newer in real estate, like ask your peers if they've tried something.
Yeah.
Like some real hitters, and
but
they'll
it
tell you
was
straight up if it's worth
we
spending
did
the money.
we definitely did the market leader. We tried
Bold leads
bold
was there.
leads. There was another geek something lead thing. We did, we was just trying some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we dabbled, but most of the business we were doing was
It was coming from seminars that we would put on, events that we would do. You know, that's where a majority of our money went. Back to the community, some way towards veterans or whatever. But we built the team quickly. It was 3,
What
and then
year
it was
this when you guys
5.
built the?
2018 into 2019.
So I'm pretty sure that's when I tell you guys the story. This is when I think I didn't meet you. I saw you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys were having an open house. I had my clients there.
that was the block party.
No, that was before.
before
Oh,
that.
before then.
I know
was a
you
house
you wrote an offer on one of my listings one time before you came here.
There was a house, you guys, near the airport off of Norview. I want
Yeah.
to say
Oh yeah, in that little cul-de-sac.
little cold.
Yeah.
It had
A little
bunch of
cutoff,
barn-
yeah.
bunch of barn doors, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
I
that was
remember
South
you-
Lakewood. I know exactly where that was.
Yeah, I was
that
there.
open house was popping too.
Yeah. You guys showed up, or you showed up, I think.
Yeah, I
and
showed
I
up.
remember seeing you. I don't forget a face.
Yeah.
And then I met you guys actually here in the office, and then at the open house.
Yeah.
I hadn't signed on yet.
Well, and then we did that deal, and that where the guy committed suicide.
Yes.
And he's
Wow.
like, after we closed, he's like, you know.
Well, no, it's after I met you here.
Yeah, after
because I
That's
looked at my
crazy.
text when I messaged them. I don't delete the text, and it was like, oh, he was the agent on the other side of
Wow.
this deal. We actually did a deal together. But it was a
crazy.
great house.
It was a
Yeah.
great house.
So-
So it was just unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2018. We decided to merge and run a team. I was actually going to college at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was crushing it, man. I had straight A's, and I got to my 3rd semester, and it was like, well, we can either go open a company, which I knew required like all in, or I could stay over here and get my little BAH to go to this business management class, and like I'm already running a business, you know.
Yeah.
So I decided to walk away from school and walk away from that BAH. Mind you, I have child support. I just went through a divorce. I just had to offload $1 million worth of property that I didn't get to hold on to as I intended, right? Like it was kind of like, you know, you got a performer that, you know, that's it. Like back against the wall. I just walked away from a 14-year career. I got kids to feed. I got child support. I want to buy my post-divorce home. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to finalize my
2018,
divorce.
You're getting out the military?
2018, I was fighting the military. 2019, I ended up getting out.
And then when did you get out?
I got out 2019. So I got out in March.
2019.
You got out April.
We ended up getting out at the same time. It was just a different path. you know?
Right.
Yeah, very different
And that's
paths.
what I'm getting at. You guys get out. You're still a team.
Yeah.
At what point do you guys say,
Eight months later, we did 30 million, and we were like,
we
need
start
to,
our own company?
Yes.
Independent?
Well,
do you
so that was
shop
that was a
around?
weird flow too, right? So we went
to a conference.
Because
we
you got to
paid-
research this.
we paid $5,000, almost $5,000 a piece to go
To a conference.
in DC. He knew I was a huge fan of Ryan Serhant.
Ryan was the keynote.
He was the keynote, and he sent me the text. I was sitting in my backyard, and he's like, "Yo, Ryan Serhant's gonna be in DC." I was like, "We're going." I got off the phone, literally walked to my dresser, grabbed my wallet, paid for the tickets right then and there.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, the idea of opening a company wasn't there yet. We got there, we're in this room. He packed that thing. I was 2,000 people in that room.
It was the Hyperfast Agent Summit. It was Dan Lesniak and Kerry Scholl.
Right.
And yeah, the event was loaded.
That was an event, right? But what I noticed was all the other keynotes that they had there, very successful people. The owner founder of Big Block was there, which he actually
His presentation was great.
his presence. He's definitely that guy. Like very good, very great to listen to. They had some
nuggets. I actually took some notes from him, and that's kind of how I started
right.
building some of my social media stuff. So you could say, really, the conference is the reason we even looked into it.
Right. Because we're seeing these owners, right? And then we go back to the room. We're like, let's go to the room. And I'm just strolling Facebook, and I'm like, franchise opportunity. I'm like,
Iron Valley ads, bro.
yeah, Iron
Hard.
Valley ads.
Shout out Adam
hardcore.
Gamble. You know what I'm saying?
Was he there at Hyperfest?
No.
No, okay.
No,
No, but you got to think how much closer we are to Pennsylvania at that
Right.
point, right? So
but there was ads for that, like hardcore. I was like, look, I'm gonna call these guys. Like, hit them up, called them right then and there in the hotel, and I was like, hey, could I set up a presentation with you? I just seen your ad on Facebook, and I was talking to, I think Corey answered the phone when I called.
No, you spoke to Corey first for sure.
Okay. And I was like, let me do this
Then you did
presentation.
the demo.
Right.
Then you came and told me, yo, you
Right.
got to look at this. And I was like, you're crazy, bro.
Right.
Whatever.
Like now this is
Like-
post, I did the demo literally sitting in the garage where I did all my finest
Yes.
work.
My finest work. Hey, so did Jeff Bezos.
So I
you know what I'm
did
saying?
did the demo and I'm like that's us. I hit him up and he's like, I'm not no. He's like, if we're gonna do something, just not look at it. We're trying to get out the Navy. We're all. I'm like, no.
What's their vision on the demo? Like, what is it that
It was really.
got you?
It was pre motorcycle video. That wasn't out yet. But it was just.
it was the original branding still.
It was the original branding still. Like the branding's way different.
It was
is.
more-
Yeah, I saw that.
It was
original
more of
branding,
how
so I don't know how that
Adam-
got you.
Adam, Corey, and Rob aligned with Eric, Chris, and I at the time.
Right. It was just
Like-
very down to earth. Didn't feel corporate.
Okay.
Do your thing has been, they all look different now except Adam. Adam's still bald, kind of buff.
Intelligent face. I was like, oh.
But they're very different people. You could tell that one's the salesman, one's very analytical, and then one's just that cool, like, whatever, man.
It was like the same dynamic.
It was the same dynamic we had at the time, So I would call him and I'm like, look, we got to do this, man. He's like, no. I was like, look, Mike, I'm doing this. Watch the demo.
Right.
I'm going to go do this. And he watched the demo and he's like, immediately, he's like, I'm in. Then we started looking at spaces. And at the time, we weren't even, the ball hasn't rolled yet. We're like, well, we could do this. And then it was like, well, we need a broker.
Yeah, I didn't have my broker's license yet.
We need a broker. We did look at a space. We did speak to another broker that would have been interested, but then he moved. I mean, he was definitely great. And then we were just in like Chris is our guy, right? Like he's been with us. He supported us,
Was it a young guy from Rosenwamble?
It was.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Because
Solid
we
cat.
interviewed. Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then we said,
I mean, I guess there's no harm, man. Shout out to Hart Samier.
Hard as dope.
We
No.
met with him before he went back to chase his dreams. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah, I sat down with him.
still selling real estate up there.
He is.
100%. I
He's
sat
at a high
down with
level.
him. He was
I mean, he owns
trying
a
to get me
company
to
now.
Rosenwamble.
Yeah,
doing
no, that was I remember that day, man. We went and looked at that office, and meeting him was a good experience.
No, it definitely was. Because I've done deals with him, but I've never met him in person. So meeting him in person, he was super dope. But yeah, from there, like, we started looking at spaces. Once we sat down with Chris, we told Chris, like, hey, this is what we're doing. Come for the journey. Come for the ride, right? He's like, I'm in, whatever, dude.
So when you're looking at spaces, do you already know what this franchise fee is? Everything, the back
We
end
did
system?
know we did know like the
I knew the franchise fee. I didn't know what it was going to take to
We-
build
we knew-
out.
we
what
knew
I'm
a
getting at.
lot of very surface level things.
Yeah.
Very surface. When I say very surface level, it was you need a space. This is the fee. Get started.
Yeah.
Literally was the premise of
Now,
this.
if you roll that into ultimately deciding to choose a 4,400 square foot blank slate in a convergence center right up the street from town center, no, we didn't know how much that was going to cost.
No.
We didn't know how
Zero.
much work it was going to take to fill it.
Right.
We didn't know how much work it was going to take to maintain it.
No, because we looked at other spaces. We got here. We were actually only supposed to rent from the first pillar back.
To the, like, not even to the middle of the bullpen.
Right. So that first pillar to the back wall, and our entrance was always going to be on the side.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because we're sitting where Noble used to be.
Right.
So when we were in here, like, I remember remember, man, this is concrete, zero walls. You know, a big box, and I'm like, why would we just rent this back 1,500 square foot?
If we can get the whole thing.
We don't have any access towards the elevator. We don't have any to the common lobby. We have nothing. Like, we would have a little hole in the wall, and no one would even entertain us. They really, you know, like, they wouldn't. I was like, how much for the whole thing? They told us, and we looked at each other like, at the time, it was like, okay, that's $2,500 a piece.
We'll figure it out.
You figured that out? Like, that's one deal. That's one deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
piece
I'm
of
like,
And that's how we look at it,
that's
right?
it. Like,
One deal cover that.
everything I did at that time was, how many deals do I need to cover
Right.
that?
Yeah.
You know?
But then, you know, we learned very quickly, obviously, you add the staff salary, you add the company systems,
E&O
you
insurance.
add E&O insurance, you
Tax.
add taxes, you add
this shit we didn't know.
banking fees, you add
The first year we didn't know.
you add bookkeeping, accounting.
Marketing.
Man, listen, dude, the journey I went on to fix things after the fact
Right.
was it was wild. You know, because as he said, we all had our parts. Well, certain parts weren't being handled, and I kind of just fell into having to
Yeah.
handle that. You know,
Now hold on before you go there. So okay, you're all in. You're looking at spaces. You settle on a space. This is gonna be it.
yep.
How long before this gets built out?
So it was super quick, bro. I remember vividly, like, we started the onboarding process into the back end of Broker Sumo at Newtown Road in November, December timeframe. We signed a lease for this place in January. We were officially open in February.
Yeah. It was quick.
Now, the grand opening didn't happen until July, but that's because COVID smacked us right after we opened.
Right.
So,
That thing.
yeah, that too.
Well, that's what we
And
were.
it's like, oh, we just spent $146,000 or something like that. I mean, it was
And
that
you
much.
You can't get physical bodies in the door.
And now we just opened, boom, COVID. So that was
that was the perception, was you couldn't get bodies in, right?
we just didn't stop.
When we opened, before the grand opening, people were like, they're not going to last. Everybody's in fear mode, right? Like,
Yeah.
all these companies don't come to the office. All the admins were sent home.
We saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah, and we just said, you know what? It's three of us, man. If as long as we're always around the three of us, we're never getting sick.
Because
Like, you
during
know?
that time, I had my own little office at the brokerage I was at, and they only allowed the people that had offices, leases there, to come in. Other than
Yeah.
that, don't
See,
come.
so for us, it was if you're sick, don't come in.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you test positive, don't come in and report. And then we will abide by the guidelines. But I'm not going to live a fear-based life.
Right.
You know?
So, well, during this time, you guys are still open. How are you getting bodies in the door? Well, you know, new
Bro,
agents.
well,
into
here's
the
here's
firm.
the thing. When we opened, Eric and I were selling so many houses that everybody just wanted to know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was marketing so much that all you could really think was, damn, Iron Valley's out here selling real estate. You know what I mean? Like, when you're getting up, like, you know, because once we opened the company, we dispersed the team. We both went solo. Dude, there were months where we both did 15, 17 transactions a piece. Like,
Yeah, it was a good crazy time.
yeah. So a lot of the conversations about coming to Iron Valley organically came from our performance. Now, our ability to close that gap, create that relationship, and sign you to the company and maintain you. That's just effort, man. That's being willing to show people what we do.
Right.
That's what that.
And
that's what that is.
And that dynamic was completely different. At the beginning, we didn't have weekly training set up properly. We did training, but it wasn't like
but it was
structured like it is
Mike and
now.
Eric go sell houses so we can pay the bills and attract people.
Right.
It eventually became, well, I got to be a managing broker and now a principal broker, and then I'm going to hire a coach, and then I'm going to implement all these things, and then we're going to take the best people in the company and grow them, and we had to remove a cancer. Then there came the conversation where it was like, yo, we got some pretty solid guys here that could be good partners. What do you think?
Yeah, but before that, I mean, that's, I think, a key part is like you guys are learning the business now.
Absolutely.
You're fine-tuning the business.
100%.
You're growing it. And it's like something ain't working out.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I got to witness that. Obviously, I came in the middle of that. But it's like that's also a big step and a hard conversation, I think.
It was that
Bro, that was one of the hardest times in my life, dude. Like, to be 100% honest. Like, you want to talk about losing sleep and having anxiety and not wanting to do something, but you got to do it. Like, that was very hard.
It was hard on like every level.
Because like we were trying to help a friend.
Right. It was the emotional side of it. It was definitely the business side of it. It was one of those things where, are we doing the right thing?
Yeah. For me at that time.
Like, would you turn your back on anybody? And I wouldn't say we tried to the full extent not to turn our back.
But then you got to look and see, wait a minute, there's 150 people looking up to us, feeding their families, our staff. Like, they're depending on us. They believe in our company. They came to our firm. So now you have to do what's right for the many and not the one.
And I was one of them. I came here because I believed in the message and everything that was happening here. You're essentially breaking up with this person that has been with you essentially from the beginning, to open up a
well, and then taught us, like, regardless, taught us a ton how to move about certain situations, how to rise above certain situations.
I mean, when I got my license, Chris encouraged it.
Right. I mean,
like, it wasn't like I shouldn't do it. In fact, there was a point in time where right back here, he looked me dead in my face and said, you're the future of this company. And that's kind of when I knew, like, man, he's really depressed, Right. He's dealing with some things that I can't help him with because I've tried. You know what I'm saying? And like, all bullshit aside, I hope you're okay. But we had to take care of everybody.
Ultimately, that's what it was. It was he needed to help himself. And there was things that I noticed.
I mean, there are things that I've taught people that he taught me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like we didn't get any value from each other, but my moral compass just wouldn't allow certain things to happen, bro.
Right.
My leadership metric is much different than his, as far as like what we see should be taking place and how things should be getting done, and just certain things that shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean?
Well, all this is happening, but let me go right before this. Once you guys are getting that first agent in the door that you guys don't have a relationship with, how did that feel? I mean, like your first agents. That
it was weird, man.
You're actually signing agents to your firm.
I remember telling Mike.
What does that feel like?
I remember telling Mike.
It's awesome, bro. Like, I mean, you've had the opportunity to experience that now. You went from a team lead to a principal broker in the last couple of years. Like, what's it feel like when you sit down and sign somebody and they believe in what you're doing? Yeah. And you know in your heart that, like, I'm actually trying to run the best real estate brokerage that I can possible every single day. Like, I'm not out here swindling nobody. I'm not lying to nobody. I don't feed nobody bullshit when I tell them what it's going to take to do what we do. Not a single person.
Who was that person?
Yeah, that's like the hospital. I don't remember who the first non-relationship.
See,
they didn't come from your team.
Well, was it? That's tough though, because like even the team piece, like say a Salway, he came to the team, but then boom, it was Iron Valley. You know what I mean? Like it was like quick, like bang bang. You know.
Yeah, outside
some
of
the
your
original people, man. Sam Watry, she came.
She was on the team though.
She was on the team.
Yeah.
I know
Christy was one of the first.
Christy Powell, yep.
Sebastian was one of the first.
Sebastian, one of the first. Jake Maines and LJ, bro. They've been here since almost the beginning.
Right.
I know my neighbor.
Yep, Lucy. Amanda, Whitney came over at that. Like trying to think of like in order, but those are the earliest people. Like they've been here for 5 years, man. I don't know if they're gonna watch this, but like to me, in my head, this was going to be the first year where it's like, here's the Iron Valley Legacy Award. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
the
Gotcha.
5-year mark, because my reasoning behind that is 97% of small businesses fail within 5 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge,
It's an accomplishment.
yeah, 100%. So, but also for those original people, you know, maybe if they've had a rough year, or maybe the interest rates or the lack of inventories impacted their career, like we're still here. We still know you're here, you know, and I think that they need to feel that this coming award ceremony, like we don't forget. The
Right.
difference is we're actually still here every day. We'd love to see you. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, and we don't forget about nobody. You know, check your timeline. I interact on everything. It's because I'm watching. You know, like I actually give a shit about all these people because they believe in all of us.
Just like any agency, they got good producers, and everybody has their rough years and everything.
Right.
Well, this is a hard industry. You know,
It's fluid. Where do you guys change your vision aside from just starting a brokerage and we're just going to be successful, do a ton of transactions? Like once you're in it, you realize like, got to change things up.
When you say change things up, like,
Well, because you're going from a team, you talk about the numbers. Everybody's being attracted by the
Right.
numbers.
yeah, we left the team. We both went solo. All we're doing is selling. And are you like asking about the migration to more of the leadership versus the
Yes.
selling? Honestly, for me, man, I think it was more natural to train and lead people than to sell. I'm great at real estate. I don't actually like selling. I think the term is used and abused. Like, I like guiding and educating and assisting, right? Like, because at the end of the day, this home ownership decision is yours. I'm not selling you anything. Houses sell themselves. You know when you walk in the door when somebody's going to buy that house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're not selling you the house. I'm educating and assisting you on the process. I am contributing to community, to society, to humility, to, you know, charity. We just did a fundraiser. Like my event in January, we have a fundraiser attached to it. Like we all attach ourselves and donate to certain things. Like the sales was never the thing. Like I've made 100 racks in a month selling houses before. I'd rather not do it. It's not very enjoyable.
it's definitely stressful.
You know, it's stressful as hell. Yeah, everybody's life is in your hands at that point. For me, I'd rather lead and guide other people to do it properly, because so many people only do it for a check versus like, you know, we stood up our peak performance training program. That's not a new idea. Me, Eric, and Chris 4 years ago were like, we should make our own training program.
We were looking at websites to develop
But
trainings, and
It's
all been there.
Where it really turned for me, it was like when I found out that Andy was hanging out with Keller Williams up in Michigan. I was like, what are they doing up there? Why are they there? Who's he with? Who's trying to sign our people? You know, I got like territorial, like this is my thing. This is my baby. And we're training and we're giving you guys everything we got. What are we missing? What are we not giving you? I won't say I took offense, but I wanted to know.
Well, I mean, you have to
Like-
look inward. I mean, to improve the whole thing. Right.
100%. So I'm like, I got to go see why they're going here, right?
Right.
And I go and I'm like, the content's actually great. Like these are all things that we train to, that we try to get people to do. And then I learned things like sayings like, you know, you can't be a prophet in your own land. I could say something 1,000 times. You go hear Jeff say it, it's going to hit different. Just like if Jeff brought me into one of his offices for an inspirational or motivational situation, it would be different, right? Like, so I had to go out there and explore and learn, just like we probably wouldn't own a franchise if we didn't go to the Hyperfast Agent Summit.
I mean, I think we would have done some eventually. It would not been.
But not like, oh, here's the ad, do the demo call.
Right.
Like just the way everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah.
We made a conscious decision. And honestly, it all just comes from being a good person. All that happened was my boy helped me out when I was getting a divorce, right? Like I'm sleeping on this guy's couch. This is the shit that people don't understand. I'm sleeping on his couch, selling him a house and teaching him how to write contracts because he's scratching my back and giving me a place to host my children when I have them. And I'm battling the Navy and all this other crap. He's holding me down. So I see Ryan Serhant's local, and me just being the guy that I am, just like I tell whoever, hey man, we should go to LA and see LeBron play one last time if they make it this year. I want to go watch the Buckeyes play Michigan or go to a college playoff game. Like I'm gonna live my life. So for him, I'm like, he loves Ryan Serhant. You know what I'm saying? Like he got the book. He told me to read the book. We're watching the show.
But also, I think that goes to, this is something I learned early on. We're all competitive. but we're also humble enough to know, like, this guy's doing better than me. What is he doing?
Right.
Absolutely.
Like, learn from these people.
Right.
100%.
And I think that's what, for me, has helped me out. And I think that's something that I think you guys were doing.
Bro, that's my trigger. He
That's
did
like-
he did that 9 million his first year. I was like, how, why, when, and where?
Right.
Show me now.
Well, but
right?
that's also the vibe here, anyways, right? Like doors are open.
We say it
They
all the
always
time,
have,
right?
right.
The biggest secrets, we have no secrets. Like,
Right.
are you going to implement it?
And you'll hear
Yeah,
that
that's
from
not up
teacher?
to me. That's up
you
to
know,
you.
I was signing someone just the other day, and they were like, "Yeah, you know, so and so was saying that, you know, I wouldn't have help, I wouldn't have this." I'm like, "It's because they've never been here. Come here, make your own decision. If you don't like it in a month, leave. Don't care, but make your own decision. You can't hear from people outside that don't know you, haven't met you, or knew you once upon a time. Make your decision on
And not for nothing.
who this person is.
Not for nothing. Don't perform like us.
Right."
You know, that's the craziest part. People are just listening to gossip and not looking at factual information. It's
How
insane.
many billions now?
I don't know.
I'm
In
creeping
sales?
on 3 billion.
Four.
4?
Yeah.
Okay, well then
You're missing a
wrong.
whole billionaire. Like,
Well,
since
we're
2020.
We almost hit $1 billion this year. You know,
Right.
we still possibly could. I don't know yet, but like, it's not even about that. Like, if people are going to talk negatively, why don't you talk to the people that are actually
here.
whose lives this company changed?
Right.
Why don't you talk to the 27 team leads and the 20 brokers and the 327 realtors or real estate professionals that are led by us every single day? Like, you can say whatever you want, but the people saying something different.
Right.
Yeah.
Our people saying something different. And if anybody really has something negative to say, you know, maybe they would actually use names in their posts and their discussions.
Yeah, they won't.
Yeah,
And
no,
I mean,
of course not.
even the peak performance trip, right, to Jamaica, like that's a huge accomplishment to make it on that, and even the threshold to make it
The
in.
threshold was what, 8.7?
8.6, yeah, 8.7 million
Right.
this year just to be in the top 25.
Just to be top 25 here. So I mean,
Right.
it's,
So these are the people you
Right.
could surround yourself with,
Right.
and that's
Absolutely.
also a great accomplishment. When I look at it, I came here later, but I've also seen all these people grow within this company.
right. Well, I mean,
into
you,
that list.
absolutely.
you look at our first trip, man. The threshold was 3.3. You know, you know. So
But even just to say, like, we went from 14-year military careers to like solo to a team to one firm to now 7 franchises in the local area with a multitude of brokers and team leads. We've produced over 150 top producers. I don't even know how many articles I've written a quotation for real producers for people at our company. Probably 20 or so. Like, ridiculous, right? Like, people don't even look at all the effort. They don't even see it because they don't even know what's happening. They're like, they'll post here's my real producers article, but you don't even notice that the one quote from your leader, like, my name's under it. You don't know that I was up at 10 o'clock sending that and submitting that because I want to make sure that you get the recognition you deserve. People miss those little things because they might not stand out to you, but I know I made that effort. The editor of that publication knows that I made that effort. That's why they hit me up every time. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
there's a lot of that goes unnoticed, and also it's there's no monetary value to that. It's your time.
100%. But for me, I'm going to do everything I can. Like, I do shit that annoys people. You guys tell me, like, why do you like every single post and congratulate every single fucking person on every single contract?
I do it not, but
Well,
I know the benefit.
I do it because they should feel important, man. Like, I remember what it was like to not sell a house. I know what it's like to not have a contract. I know what it's like to watch my boys get in a business and shit on me. That's why I always level up. Like, oh, okay, now I've been diamond 3 times. I'm going to go write a damn book. Like, I don't, like, I got to do some other shit, you know? But that's just always growing. Like, and I would rather practice what I preach. I can't sit here and lead people, teach people, train people, and not be doing it.
So early on, like that 2020, 2021, what were you guys envisioning as far as this thing? What did you want it to be?
my thought, I think, maybe have been always a little different. You know.
Yeah, let me hear yours, bro.
You know, because I'm like the visionary to the extreme, and I think all of you guys have told me, like, pipe down a little bit, like, you know. But my goal was top 10, and then continue expand the vision, expand the brand, the same things that we've instilled here. I can't speak on every other location, you know, around the country, but I could say that I hope that we inspire the small guy, because I feel like we were small guys. You know, just in life,
not
right?
from here, fresh out the military.
Right.
Like,
All we had was grit, determination, and the drive, right? So it was like grow. Like my goal was always grow here for 5 years, move to the West Coast. That was always my goal from day one. Was let's build this, and I'll get to the West Coast. Then we'll build, inward.
Yeah.
And then have 50 states, 50 locations, 50 for some reason is always in my brain. Like I've had dreams about just 50s, and I don't know if it's because I'm going to die at 50.
Chill, bro.
No, but I like, you don't know what, you don't even know what they're called, but like I see the number 50 and it's like, I need to get to this number for something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. At one point, I just wanted to be a managing broker, sell a lot of houses, and devote all my time to my kids. Things that happened changed that narrative. My mother died of a heroin overdose, like right as we were opening initially.
Mm-hmm.
I finalized my divorce, and I went on this personal journey of finding my new wife. And, it was just like the perfect storm where we had to handle business and restructure the leadership at the company. But at the same time, I was getting remarried, and my relationship with my kids was being so much better, right? Because I just did 14 years in the Navy, man. My kids had never seen their dad as much as they were seeing him.
Right.
And everybody knew from day one, if I have my kids, I'm unavailable at these times for these events, period. Like, I'm not going to miss out on my kids. It's just not going to happen. And I don't really, fuck everyone. And I think that you specifically operate on that very same sentiment.
Yes.
And even for you, it was, we were alone yesterday for a moment where you had that second where it's like, I get to be a dad. And I was like, that's fulfilling for me to see from him. Because for years, Eric was, fuck your family, bitch. We got work to do.
Right.
I see that future in a lot of people. Like, I already know. I see the.
Well, you just had the newborn, I think, man.
I have years in front of you guys, and I've told you this.
Well,
I know what you look like.
But like Oliver,
5-6 years from now.
like just that moment.
He's a great kid.
That changes changes your life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
well, people don't see the sacrifice and the work, the time that truly goes into opening a company and then running a company. Yeah. Not just like,
not just have a name.
You could pay $150 and make an LLC.
Yeah.
But to have a vision, to have a network of guys that all have different strengths, put it together,
to make it hundreds or even thousands of people buy into that vision.
Yeah, you have to buy into the vision. There's just so much work that goes on the back end. That's why I hate when I hear people say we should just be, not to be political, but like society today is in a different weird motion where they're just, we should all get it. No, you shouldn't, because
it's got to be earned, man.
My kids know me from the Navy to dad's the guy in front of a computer or on his phone. Swimming with your laptop next to the pool should not be a thing. One, you're going to destroy your laptop.
But we all know this,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that environment of
be present.
But to be, like I've told in previous things when we sat with Kaleo, like, you need to be present. Like, I've had glimpses of that in my life. I've never missed a sporting event, an orchestra, a concert. I'm there.
Yeah, but are you there?
For those, I am, right? But day-to-day life, it's not that, because until 11 o'clock at night, I mean, I was writing contracts at 11 just to find out this morning they weren't going to take it when you gave me the terms.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Why was I sitting at home writing contracts till 11 for
when you?
I could have just been cuddling with my newborn.
Facts.
But this move coming up is more going to be, one, I get 2 weeks of traveling with my kids, seeing the country. Something I've always wanted to do, something I wasn't allowed to do as a kid because my parents didn't have that. But to travel across the country, they know we're embarking on a new journey. They know that the next 2 to 5 years is going to be, again, crazy as soon as we get there. But I get to be a dad, to spend time with them, show them the world, find the goofy stores. Like Jackie's at home. Like, there's a place called Uranus Fudge. The marketing is ran by a 12-year-old. This whole company. The marketing is ran by a 12-year-old. Not to shout them out. I mean, if it's cool, I'll shout them out then too. But they have like the funny shirts, funny cups. You could buy fudge there, but stupid little crap like that, like the corny cross-country trip. It's the moment.
Yeah.
Right. But now when I get there, it's going to be hell on wheels again. But I think now that, my older kids, like my son wants to get into videography. He wants to go to college now for like graphic design and and dealing with this stuff. And it's like, okay, you could be the guy. Like my Liam, builds crap every day. And I'm like, if he goes to a regular school and they destroy that engineer in him, like, I'll be pissed. So now I need to find a school that's going to do that for him. Tailor to what you could see it in people. And I think that public schools, not to crap on public schools. I mean, we all went to public school, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I wanted to.
You know,
When I wanted
when we decided to go, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of, and it's not to the fault of the teachers, I think that it destroys young creative minds. That's why I think there's a big push of people saying college is a scam, you know, that college isn't the path today, because is it? Is it worth going into debt for a business management degree?
I don't know, man. I decided to go into debt to own my own businesses instead, and it seemed to work out.
But that's that self-education part. Also.
That's the self-education. That's
like you go just because you need to get there.
Yeah.
Are you
Right.
really passionate about it?
right. Now, like college for a STEM program, if you have to go to college, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
if you
STEM
work on
program.
my heart. You gotta like
Yeah.
get that hands-on
You know,
experience. Right?
So this is not a bash college, but I mean, like those engineers, yes, he'll have to go to college. That's a STEM program, you know. But like an entrepreneur, you don't have to go to school. You don't have to go to college. You have to learn from and be in rooms and surrounded by people that are going to push you and elevate you to the next level.
And you got to fail, man. You
And
got to
you
make
have to fail.
mistakes. Like you, there's no perfect recipe to any of this. But to your question though, I went from, I'll just be a managed broker and sell real estate because I know it can help me build a legacy for my family.
Mm-hmm.
After I was put in the position to kind of lead the way and head it all up, it was just like, okay, I got to turn on. I had to put a different hat on. Like really, the Navy chief in me kind of came back out. Like, what are the structures? What are we missing? Why don't we have this paperwork? How can I fix these issues? How do we get the bookkeeping up to date? How do we alleviate the tax issues that were created? Like, I just turned on problem solver mode, and that's when I'm at my best. So, and then my grandfather died, or my father died of a heroin overdose, and then I met my grandpa. All in between hiring coaches and getting all this training and becoming a certified coach and a certified speaker and publishing a book and all these things. So it really just became, real estate is my segue to impact the world. Like these companies give me the platform to go help people. So now that's the vision.
You're still on video, so go and take us home.
Well, I mean, that's really it, I guess. Eric is going to expand in California. We're going to keep running this thing here. And that's kind of the story of Iron Valley Real Estate, Hampton Roads, Prestige, Norfolk, Elizabeth City.
for the next 15 years. Like, it's going to keep going.
Now, I just wanted to sit down and do this before he headed to the West Coast because we've never really done this. And everyone should be allowed to speak their truth. There's a lot of people out there telling stories, and they don't even know the actual stories.
Right.
They've never spoken to the people that have actually lived them. So I hope that maybe this enlightens some people. And if they ever have questions, you can Google Eric Edwards or Mike Little. Our numbers are there. Feel free to call us. Maybe shoot us an email.
I would just say call me. You know,
Yeah, Eric's a call guy.
Just call me.
Yeah.
You know, ask the questions.
He's got PTSD from cold calls.
What we've done, what we've been through, like, it's been amazing. You know, it's been great. And the vision I see that we're going to continue going from training to speaking engagements to expanding the horizon is going to be dope. Even moving forward for the next 5 years for sure.
I think that's it, man. So thanks for tuning in. Click subscribe and tell your friends. We appreciate it.